I'm really, really eager for Boland to do well. I'm eager for Cummins to do well with the ball as well, because his last couple of years as a test bowler, he's averaging about 28, which is still very good, but it's tapered off a little bit from his absolute best. And he was disappointing in Perth. Now, that may be just because, there's a lot of criticism for him not playing enough in the lead up, but I understand their mindset of we want to be fresh coming through the final test match. So hopefully there's a little bit of that, and then he'll come roaring back to his best in the second test. But if he doesn't, if he's sort of a bit indifferent like he was in the first test, that's going to put Australia in a pretty difficult situation, I reckon.
Certainly will. I think some of the views on Pat Cummins and his lead-up might be a little bit of revisionist history. But, Brodie, in terms of what we talked about this last week, does Boland... I certainly know, and Paul touched on it before, he's a very modest character when we talk about off the field, but that aggression, does he potentially partner with Starc, and maybe the way he goes about his craft, he's quietly spoken. I don't need him to be aggressive in his words, but in the way that he takes them on, if he comes in, can he fill that role? I know you'd like to see a bit from Starc as well.
Yeah, look, first over the match, soon as Mitchell Starc picks up that ball, I want to see Mitchell Starc of 3 or 4 years ago. It doesn't have to be a bouncer, but, just let the batter know. Just go down there. He's statistically the best pink ball bowler in history. We know that. But I think the whole Australian side would get so much of a fiery, real, just not nasty, but just a real fiery first over from Mitchell Starc. And like you said, Scott Boland isn't the kind of bowler that's going to be in your face, but he hits the bat hard, and we've seen that time and time again. And if he can just continuously apply pressure to the Indian batters, that's when Scott Boland is at his best for me.
Yeah, I like that. I think Starc is the hammer, and Boland to almost become the boa constrictor as he strangles them a little bit by bit.
He's got to be accurate though, Starc. That it's all very well to be aggressive, and I applaud that to a degree. But if he is wayward and they pump him everywhere, even with his good pink ball record, then that's not going to be any good. I remember Shane Warne and Mark Taylor used to debate this when Shane Warne was sort of having a go at Mitchell Starc about body language, and Mark Taylor was like, he needs to hit the top of the off stump, and I'm all for him bowling it at the stumps and swinging it and the odd bouncer, but in between that, he's got to be very, very accurate in this test match. Otherwise, they'll put him everywhere.
Yeah, I agree, Paul. I think he needs to be accurate but aggressive selectively, and hopefully we can see a little bit of that. I think we just need, we touched on it last week, a little bit more mongrel back in the side.